Okay, so system of equations. So these are word problems, and what we've been doing this whole chapter is systems of equations. And so that's when we write those two equations, they look like substitution or elimination. Okay, when you take any sort of standardized testing, they're going to look like something like so. Okay, meaning it's a word problem, you need to set it up, use full sentences, etc., etc. Okay, so we got Ian and Lucas live on a farm and breed ducks and chickens for a living. Last week they sold 23 ducks and 42 chickens for a total of $872. This week they sold 10 ducks and 6 chickens for a total of $232. How much does a chicken cost? How much does a duck cost? Now, we're not going to solve them all the way out because it takes too long, okay, honestly. But what we are going to do, so part A says define the variables, okay? So we're going to say C equals, okay? I used the C for chickens, okay? But you can't just say C equals chickens because that's not what it is, okay? C is, and there are different words you can use, we're going to talk about that today, but the cost for one chicken. Okay, C is not chickens, okay? They're talking about price, so they want you to figure out the cost for one chicken, okay? And what else are they talking about in here? Ducks. So we can say D, okay? Some people use X and Y, which is what we have been doing when we did substitution. So D is, we can say, instead of cost, you could say price. The price per one duck. Okay, you could say for a single, that means for one, okay? There are plenty of words that you could use. Okay, write the system of equations. So what you need to do is go back through and start reading. So last week they sold 23 ducks. So you can say 23D. Plus, they also sold 42 chickens. For a total means equals, okay? For a total of 872. Okay, so that was last week. This week, they sold how many ducks? 10 ducks, so we're going to say 10D plus 6 chickens equals 232. Okay, now this looks like a system of equations. If you would change these to X and Y, that looks like what we've been doing, right? So you would have to pick one and multiply, solve for it, plug it back into the original equation, okay? And that's what we've been doing, but we're not going to solve them all out. Like, obviously, I know you guys know how to solve by elimination, okay? So we're not going to do that. We're just writing, like, the stuff out today, okay? The one key takeaway is definitely read, because sometimes you guys go in order and it might have said 10 chickens and 6 ducks, okay? So don't just assume whatever comes first, like actually read it, okay? And if you prefer to use X and Y, you totally can. Okay, Jimmy Law and Devin also live on a farm and raise pigs and chickens. There are 422 total animals on the farm. Okay, if you count the legs on the farm, there are 1,120. How many pigs live on the farm and how many chickens live on the farm? Okay, so what is one of the variables we can use? P and C. Okay, we could say P and C. Okay, P stands for, okay, and look at the last sentence. What are they wanting you to figure out? Yeah, so P stands for the number of pigs on the farm. Okay, C is equivalent, okay? You could say the amount instead of number, or you could say number also. I'm just trying to give you some different words to use, but the amount of chickens, you could say on the farm, that live on the farm, okay? Okay, Okay, so let's set up our equations. And this one's a little bit harder. So our first sentence says there are 425 total animals on the farm. Okay, so what kind of animals do we have on the farm? Pigs and chickens. So pigs plus chickens should equal how many animals? 425. Okay, now our other sentence says if you count the legs on the farm, there are 1,120. Okay, so this one's a little bit more difficult. You got to kind of think about what's happening here. Okay, so most of you guys know that this part's going to be 1,120. Okay, now how many legs does a pig have? 4. So you're going to say 4p plus, what about chickens? 2. Tons of people say 4 every year. Okay, chickens have 2 legs, and so we've set up our second equation. Can I scroll? Okay, Madison and Hadassah run a busing business. They rent out small buses and large buses. They rented 5 small buses and 3 large buses that held a total of 195 people on Friday. On Saturday, they rented 2 small buses and 10 large buses that held a total of 430 people. How many can a small bus hold? How many can a large bus hold? So what is our variable going to be? Okay, small and large. Okay, and then what are they actually wanting to know? Yeah, so we can say S is we could say the number of people a small bus holds. Okay, you can say the amount of people if you want. That's totally fine. And you can really copy this whole sentence down again the exact same. And instead of small, you're going to say large. Okay, so we got the number of people a large bus can hold. Okay, what should our first equation be? What should it be? Perfect. So we got 5S plus 3L equals 195. Okay, that was Fridays. Okay, now look at Saturdays. What should Saturday's equation be? Or 30, good. Okay, look at 4. Braden goes out for a coffee. Braden goes to a coffee shop with Patrick. Braden orders 3 croissants and 2 cups of coffee for a total of $8.85. Patrick orders 3 cups of coffee and 4 croissants for a total of $12.43. What is the price for a cup of coffee? What is the price for a croissant? Okay. So what are our variables? I didn't do that. Well, if the boot fits. Okay, so what should one of our equations be, or our variables?
C for coffee and another one for croissant.
Okay, definitely C for coffee. Now, You cannot use C for croissant because then how are you going to be able to tell when you set up your equations? So one of them you're going to have to change the variable.
Just put X.
Put S?
X.
X? We can totally do X. Okay, so C is what? We can't just say coffee.
It's the cup, the amount of cups of coffee. The order of cups of coffee.
Close.
Price for 1 cup of coffee.
The price for 1 cup of coffee. And the way that you can always tell, whatever the last sentence is, that's kind of what they're wanting to know. And that's what you can put. Okay? Because they're not wanting to know like how much coffee we ordered, right? We already know how much he ordered. Like he's fat. Okay? So, I didn't say you. Maybe it was okay. I have no idea. Okay, so we can say C is the price for how much coffee? How much are they wanting to know? 1 cup of coffee. Okay, it says a cup of coffee. That means 1. So the price for a cup of coffee. Okay, what about X? What is X? The price of a croissant. Okay, so what should our sentence look like? Sentence 1. So go back up to the top. What did Braden order? 3 croissants. What letters for croissant? X plus, he also ordered what? 2 cups of coffee, so 2C. And how much was his total? $8.85. Okay, what about Patrick? So he ordered 3 cups of coffee. So where should that go? Okay, so it should be right here. 3 cups of coffee. Okay, and then what else? What else did he order? 4 croissants. So that's 4x equals, how much did he spend? $12.43.